What's going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we are checking out Prohibition Oversimplified. I've been really enjoying Oversimplified. And I'm trying to get into more stuff that I don't really know a whole lot about, of which this fits. This definitely fits the criteria, so here we are. Like, I love history. How can you not? Either way, go and check out the original. It's linked down below. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Good morning, honey. What's for breakfast? The usual.
Good morning.
2 caskets of rum, a mug of hard cider, and a full bottle of wine. Oh boy. Oh,
Fuck
I'm running
yeah.
late. I'll have to take it with me. Don't forget your lunch. It's a 6-pack of beer, a flask of whiskey, 6 shots of tequila, and as a special treat, a banana. Aw, gee whiz.
That's some hell.
Smash today. Enjoy your day of operating sharp, dangerous farm equipment. I can't believe this is an acceptable way to live. God bless America. Okay, gotta go.
What the fuck?
America, the land of beautiful strip malls, top-class infrastructure, and wonderful urban sprawl. Ah yes, beautiful America. But what's the most American thing you can think of? The Statue of Liberty? Mount Rushmore? A crazy lady in a mobility scooter yelling at a pigeon? Well, what if I told you the answer is alcohol? That's right. When the Puritans arrived on America's shores,
really?
they brought a ship packed with beer. George Washington provided his men with a daily cup of whiskey. Andrew Jackson's inauguration party left the White House so trashed that everybody had to be ordered outside. Frederick Douglass said whiskey made him feel like a president. Me too,
Fuck
Frederick.
yeah.
Me too. Americans drink at breakfast.
You got it,
Doctors
the right
prescribed their
thing.
patients hard liquor. In the 19th century, Americans drank 3 times as much as their modern-day counterparts. That's a lot of whiskey. Hey, Jerry, how's that report coming along? Already done, sir. I've also organized your paperwork, watered your flowers, and been a father figure to your children. Wait a minute. What's that smell? Have you been drinking at work? No, sir, I would never. Well, why not? Everyone else is doing it.
I love that. Being a father figure to your children. Homie, you gotta get your priorities
But I got all
straight.
my work done. You're fired. Americans drink at work.
Damn.
They drink at barn raisins, baptisms, and public hangings. Heavy drinking was so normal that it was as American as apple pie. Hi, everyone. My name's Ron, and I'm an alcoholic. Get over yourself, Ron. We're all alcoholics. But more and more Americans
Get
began
over
to wonder
yourself
whether
is
all of this truly
crazy.
was a normal way to live. Were Americans drinking, perhaps, a little too much? Well, one group in particular thought the answer to that was yes. You know them, you love them. Woman. Oh, crap. Woman! Wrong! Hang on. We just want
Of course,
to
the
talk.
farmer just eats shit.
In public? That's outrageous. Come on, Fred. You've got 2 kids and a wife at home. Yet here you are spending your entire paycheck on booze. And you, Dr. Spanky, you were on the cusp of discovering time travel. But what did you
Spanky?
discover instead? The sweet, sweet joys of whiskey. That's right. Alcohol. It's destroying our families, our jobs, and our homes. She's right. She's right. You know. Hang on, men. Don't let them get to you. This saloon is our safe space where our wives and children can't annoy us with reality, where we're free to be real men. She's right. She's right. And what does it real men do? Take care of their families. I don't know what she's
Drink.
Do you take care of your family? No.
Do you
drink
keep-
beer?
Love that. Do
We
you take
shoot
care of your
guns,
family?
And we mud wrestle. As
Hell
America's
yeah,
heavy
brother.
drinking ruined more and more lives, moral resistance began to arise, and women were at the forefront, taking matters into their own hands at a time when women doing just about anything was shocking. They'd had enough of being victim to their husband's heavy drinking, and they were going to do something unprecedented. You're going to what? I'm going to protest. Oh, sweetie, women can't protest.
Nice little,
Starting in Ohio.
nice little, what would you call it? I'm blanking. What the fuck? Tidbit? No. Detail. Nice little detail of showing him coughing
Ohio,
like
before
that.
spreading nationwide, women began a crusade against alcohol. They marched through towns and cities, singing hymns, gathering outside saloons, and praying on their knees. Women praying was so terrifying that in some towns, schools were shut and business stagnated. On one occasion, firemen
What?
were called out to hose down the dangerous praying women. On another, the owner of a beer garden reportedly held a cannon outside and threatened to reduce the savage woman to dust.
Homie was,
they persisted.
I mean, they stood on business, but homie was full on ready to fucking, nah, bitch, you ain't fucking with my business. That's fucking hilarious.
They formed the WCTU in 1874, and they organized. They set up homes for inebriate women. They installed water fountains in public parks. They wrote textbooks for school children that contain some interesting claims about drinking alcohol. Here's little Timmy.
Yo, that's dope.
Looks like Timmy's gonna have his first drink. He's taking a small sip of whiskey, and Timmy has spontaneously combusted. The end. The woman's efforts.
Oh, so it was kind of like the, God, what was it? All the stupid don't do weed ads and shit like that. And also the abstinent movement, where it was like, oh, if you have sex before you're married, your dick will fall off or whatever. Those weird Puritan movements
weren't in vain. In small towns across. Ready? Let's get away from these.
I did not mean to click that.
Alcohol had been outlawed since to side with the movement of his first drink.
Here
He's
we are.
taking a small sip of whiskey, and Timmy has spontaneously combusted. The end. The woman's efforts weren't in vain. In small towns across America, drugstores agreed to stop.
Sorry, I'm going through my
prescriptions
toggles.
for alcohol. Men committed themselves to giving up drink. Inspired by the woman's moral fervor, some saloon owners closed their doors. The woman's crusade and
That's
other
insane to
temperance
me.
movements were forcing people to reconsider.
That's insane to me that that some people actually decided to close their business of all things. Like, that's actually insane to me.
Alcohol's role in society, and more people began to side with the growing temperance movement. Many states had even begun enacting their own dry laws that restricted the sale and use of alcohol.
Okay, states with some form of dry laws before national prohibition. Oh, quite a few of them. Wyoming, my beloved. So quite a few. I remember in Texas, you could not, like Sundays, you couldn't buy alcohol in a lot of places. And there were a bunch of counties and stuff like that when I lived down there where it was like, oh yeah, no, this is a dry county, so we have to drive like a county over to get some. And I know what, I'm pretty sure I saw this. Wyoming is weird in the fact that they have extra restrictions on selling alcohol. Not like bars, but actual like go to the store, buy stuff. I don't know if it's still a thing, but I know they used to have some pretty weird laws around them.
Was Kansas, where alcohol had been outlawed since 1881. Despite this, many illegal saloons remained open, and authorities had done just about nothing to stop them. One woman, disgusted by what she saw, decided she would take the law into her own hands. And not just any woman, a terrifying, hatchet-wielding, sweet old lady named Carrie Nation. Armed with her trusty hatchet and a bag of what she called smashers, she traveled from town to town visiting saloons. But she wasn't there to get smashed. She was there to smash. The men could do nothing but cower as sweet little Carrie hulked out and tore the place to shreds. She went to...
I'm gonna be honest with you. She is so lucky she didn't get killed doing this. Like, you're in Kansas. This is considered part of the Wild West. Like, you are actually really lucky that some bar owner didn't just shoot you, girl.
Kiowa. And
really
smash,
surprising.
Smash. Wichita, smashy smash. Topeka, smashy smash. On a couple of occasions, she was arrested, but each time they were like, okay, Carrie, we're gonna let you go so long as you promise to be a good girl and not smash up any more saloons, okay? Screw you, pig! Yeah, I think she's gonna be all right. Smash, smash, smash. Carrie's tactics shocked the other members of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, but she assured them, and this is a quote, ladies, you do not know how...
Oh, damn. Granny kept that thing on her.
How much joy you will have until you smash, smash, smash. Carrie became a household name, and she hoped her unusual tactics would spread across the country. But unfortunately, many of the women's movements eventually slowed down. Why? Well, because of this kind of thing. Thelma, I ripped my pants again. Ugh, well, you'll have to sew them yourself because I'm going out protesting. What? I don't know how to sew. What if I burn the house down and get eaten by alligators? What? Don't be stupid, Mitch. Look, I've got to go. Call me stupid? She's the one who's...
And that's what happens. Oh shit, buddy.
Hey, Thelma! Look who's stupid now! See, while the women were out protesting,
Of
there was
course.
nobody to do the cooking and cleaning and being seen and not heard, and they gradually had to return to their duties at home. But where the women had got the ball rolling, a new movement was about to take that ball all the way to Washington, D.C. I'm talking about
who?
the Anti-Saloon League. The Anti-Saloon League was a political pressure
Oh, I've
group
never
run by
heard
a
of
very
them.
sweet-looking old man. But don't let that deceive you. This guy was an evil genius. While the women's movements were interested in a whole range of issues, Wayne Wheeler and the Anti-Saloon League only cared about enemy number one, Mr. Alcohol. And as a result, they were extremely effective. They were able to exploit the fears of the American people. And I mean everyone's fears. Here's how they did it. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Liberal Progressive Rally. Why don't you
Not the first time shit like that has happened.
introduce yourself? Well, I'm Patty, and I'm an immigrant from Ireland. And tell me, Patty, do you drink? Oh yes, I drink a lot. See, folks, people like Patty come here looking for a better life, only to end up drunk in the gutter. Don't worry, sir. We're gonna help you. Hey man, you're doing great. I just need you for one more thing. Hey, Christian conservatives. This is Patty.
So he used people fresh off the... Okay.
He's a dirty Catholic Irish immigrant who's come to destroy America with his alcohol-fueled debauchery.
Oh, so he was
Workers were told
really
alcohol was a
good at
capitalist
playing
ploy to
both
keep them
sides.
Subjugated. Factory owners were told alcohol was making their irresponsible workers lazy. The black community was warned alcohol was hindering its progress, while racists were warned alcohol would turn black men into brutes. In one of the most confusing eras of American politics, totally opposing groups found themselves agreeing on at least one thing. Alcohol was
Oh, so
bad.
he was
The Anti-Saloon
really
League
good
also
at
made
playing
great use of
against each
propaganda,
other.
something prohibitionists have been doing for decades. Take this specimen, for example, that warns what will happen to you if you start drinking. Let's see. First you take a drink, you get a little rowdy, okay. You make some new friends, nice. Then
Okay.
you become homeless. You turn to crime, and
That is insane. What the fuck is the leap in logic there?
But the most effective tactic Wheeler used to force prohibition on America was pressure politics. In any election he could, Wheeler very successfully rounded up support against any politician who was in favor of alcohol. In Ohio alone, he had 70 state representatives and the popular Republican governor ousted from office and replaced with prohibitionists. Suddenly, every
Fucking
politician in
insane.
America was afraid of Wayne Wheeler. Even those who enjoyed alcohol in private began pretending to be against it in public. Alcohol is delicious. Malicious. Sorry, Wayne. I'm really drunk right now. Then it really hit the fan in 1917, when America found itself fighting in the First World War against Germany. Anti-German sentiment exploded. Sauerkraut became Liberty Cabbage. German measles became Liberty Measles. And Dachshunds became the embodiment of evil. See, America? You've always been this way. The biggest brewers...
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We really renamed sauerkraut to... Is that actually a thing? If so, that's fucking insane. Like, that's crazy to me.
in America were German, and Wheeler saw to it that drinking alcohol became akin to pro-German treason. The German brewers desperately tried to fight back, creating their own propaganda, presenting beer as a healthy beverage, one that you could even give to your kids. As you can imagine, it didn't go down well. President Wilson instituted some temporary wartime prohibition measures to save grain for food, and with many in the country now in support of prohibition, all that was left was to make it law. One problem was that taxes on alcohol made up nearly 40% of the US government's annual revenue, and the government wasn't just about to give that up. No problem. The Anti-Saloon League helped lobby for the creation of a new income tax on the American people, and just like that, the government was no longer reliant on alcohol. Prohibition.
You fuckers! I have you to blame for... It was your fault. Fuck you guys.
Was finally introduced to Congress in 1913, not just as a law, but a constitutional amendment. In 1917, as the House held
what?
the final vote on the Prohibition Amendment, Wheeler was watching from the gallery. You spineless cowards. I know half of you drink, yet here you are bowing down to Ned Flanders up there. Look at him, like he's some kind of Caesar. Ugh, don't be so dramatic. I obviously don't think I'm Caesar. Now release the lion. In the end, Prohibition passed the House easily, 282 votes to 128, and the states ratified the new amendment by 1919. America, a nation obsessed with liberty and freedom, had just voluntarily given up its private right to choose whether or not to drink alcohol.
Exactly.
We did it, folks.
That's fucking
We fixed
insane.
everything. America will be perfect forever. But you just dissolved America's 5th largest industry and lost tens of thousands of jobs for us immigrants. No, you idiot. You don't get it. We helped you, idiot. Ugh, I could really go for a beer. Oh, no. Immediately after Prohibition went into effect, alcohol consumption in America decreased as Americans followed the law and tried not drinking. Man, if we're gonna be law-abiding good boys, we need something
it
to
doesn't
fill the
last
dark,
though.
lonely void that delicious
Ice cream.
beer once did. Well, how about we crack open a nice cold can of water? Hell yeah. Toss it over. Nah, this isn't doing it for me. Let's try knitting. This isn't filling the dark void at all.
Nice hat.
Want to play some kites? Ah, screw it. Let's go get some illegal beer. While it seemed like many Americans supported Prohibition, after the law went into effect, it seemed like just as many Americans intended to keep on drinking. And they would
Yeah,
go
not
on
a
to find
fucking
variety of
surprise.
ways to break the new law. Here's a question for you. Do you like breaking the law? Well, shame on you. Or do you like saving money when you shop online? Then you should use Honey. Do you ever shop in store?
Oh, here's Honey. Yep. I remember. There it is.
Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. Punching Patty, passing Prohibition, and procuring pints. Pretty soon after the new law went into effect, the failures of Prohibition were already beginning to rear their ugly heads. For starters, the details of the new Prohibition law, written by none other than Wayne Wheeler himself, turned out to be more draconian than expected. Many Prohibition supporters only wanted to outlaw hard liquor and hoped beer would remain legal, but the Volstead Act outlawed anything over 0.5%. That would make Liberty Cabbage illegal. Secondly, the new law was full of loopholes that Americans very quickly began to exploit. For example, while the sale and manufacture of liquor was illegal, drinking it wasn't. And you could also keep any alcohol you had before the law went into effect. So many private clubs hoarded huge amounts of alcohol that saw them through the entire Prohibition period.
Hell
Whiskey
yeah,
intended for
guys!
medicinal purposes was also allowed, and doctors basically became bartenders. It looked as though a full-on epidemic had broken out, as there was a sudden surge in prescriptions for whiskey. Sacramental wines used by churches and synagogues were also permitted. Orders for communion wine suspiciously skyrocketed by millions of gallons. And as rabbis had access to religious wine, suddenly everyone was becoming a rabbi. You had Rabbi Pat O'Leary, Rabbi LL Cool J, Rabbi Fluffy. But don't worry, I'm sure all these definitely legitimate religious figures couldn't possibly be selling wine in the back alley after mass. Yep, definitely nothing
Totally
strange
not.
going on here. New products also hit the shelves in stores, such as Vine Glow, a brick of dehydrated grape juice, itself not alcoholic, and therefore perfectly legal. But the packaging did contain a strangely specific warning. After dissolving the brick in a gallon of water, do not place the liquid in a jug in the cupboard for 20 days, because then it would turn into wine. I'll take 1,000.
Don't
Yes,
do
sir.
that.
Now,
Yeah, I swear, guys, don't do that.
at this point,
I fucking
want you
love
to think
that.
back for me, if you will, to the year 2005. You're the coolest kid around.
I'm 5 years old, but okay.
The greatest movie of all time from your local Blockbuster. But the movie starts with a strange message.
I never actually watched Agent Cody Banks 2. The first one I actually really enjoyed, but then it got a bunch of scratches and it became unwatchable, unfortunately.
Something about not downloading a car? You immediately disregard that and hop on Kazaa to download the greatest song of all time, and in the process, drain your dad's bank account with copious amounts of ransomware. You
Oof.
were breaking the law, you bad boy. Or girl.
Yes, I
But
was.
Did anyone come to arrest you? No. That's my point. If no one's enforcing
Also, that whole song that they used in the beginning of that, I'm sure it's fairly common knowledge now, but that song that they used in You Wouldn't Download a Car, they illegally got that. They didn't have the rights to that song,
law.
funnily
While
enough.
everyone's breaking it, is it really a law? And so it was with Prohibition. See, the conservative-led governments of the decade were also the kind of people who believed in small government spending. So they'd passed a law that would be extremely difficult to enforce, but also didn't want to spend any of the money required to enforce it. The newly created Bureau of Prohibition only had 1,500 agents to cover the entire country. That's one agent for every 70,666 Americans. In a massive
That's
country
nowhere
with
near
12,000
enough.
miles of coastline and one gigantic land border with Canada. Good luck, schmuckos. And all these clever little loopholes people were using to score illegal booze were only just the beginning. America was about to devolve into alcohol-fueled criminal chaos. By outlawing it, Prohibition had made alcohol a precious commodity, and millions of Americans would become outlaws as they found a variety of ways to score illegal booze. For example, many Americans began making their own liquor. Illegal stills
Moonshine.
for making moonshine
Yep.
were found by Prohibition agents from the hills of Kentucky and the caves of Arizona to parking lots in major cities, and even in the homes of Prohibition-supporting politicians. Oh, come on now, fellas. I voted for Prohibition.
Yep. Because, of course, they didn't actually believe in it. They didn't actually believe in it. They were just fucking pressured into fucking agreeing with it.
I'm not gonna have an illegal still. What's this? That's my son, Freddie. Say hi, Freddie. Sir, this is obviously an illegal still. How dare you?
No,
Hey,
that's
what's this in the
Freddy, you
bathtub?
fucker.
That's bathwater. Why does it taste like alcohol? Here's a better question. Why are you tasting my bathwater? Weirdo. Come on, Freddie. Let's get away from these perverts.
Honestly, good question. Also, why do you know what alcohol tastes like, huh, Agent?
To discourage moonshining, the government began adding extra toxins to many of the products moonshiners were using, which resulted in many cases of severe illness and death. But alcohol wasn't just being made at home.
Don't you love that? Oh, hey, we can't actually stop you from doing it, so we're gonna fucking make it so if you do it, we're gonna kill you.
Along America's vast coastlines, rum runners smuggled alcohol into the country by sea. A floating supermarket known as Rum Row extended along the East Coast just beyond America's maritime limit, and bootleggers frequently sailed out
Yo, is there a movie on rum runners? That sounds like an amazing movie.
in small boats to pick up shipments of booze. These bootleggers could then be found selling their illegal products everywhere, even in the halls of Congress. Wow, Pop.
Not a surprise.
One day, I want to work here. Well, son, if you work hard and never give up, one day even you could be a massive hypocrite. Even President Carter was known to serve his cabinet bootlegged whiskey, and some bootleggers were so successful, they became bazillionaires, such as Roy Olmsted, an ex-cop who became one of the biggest employers in the Seattle area from smuggling booze. Unfortunately, all of his whiskey came from Canada. Yuck. All of this criminality was being made
Yeah, I'm
possible
sitting
by
here drinking
copious amounts
Canadian
of
whiskey.
corruption. Across the country, armies of government officials were persuaded to turn a blind eye. Bootleggers became so rich, it was no problem to stuff a couple $1,000s into the front pocket of the police chief, or the mayor, or their disapproving mother. And some cops were getting almost as rich as the bootleggers. All right, men, everyone gather in. I've received word that one of you has been taking bribes from bootleggers. Any ideas? who?
Does Jeff have a middle
Jeffy,
name? I love
perhaps.
that.
Got any thoughts? No, sir. Many police officers came from the same communities that drank a lot, and they weren't about to arrest their own granddads for knocking back some homemade gin. But all this isn't to say there was no enforcement. Plenty of government officials were doing their best to enforce the new laws, and some unlucky individuals received very harsh penalties, such as a Michigan mother who was sentenced to life in prison for small-scale moonshining. Cases like these were widely reported in the media.
Go
and only
fuck
served to make
yourself.
Prohibition even more unpopular. But not
You put a That is actually fucking insane. For life over moonshining. Nah, fuck
just
you.
that. The media also loved to cover the exploits of the most famous bootleggers, turning them into national icons. One of the biggest bootleggers was a man named George Remis. Originally a lawyer, he watched as his bootlegger clients paid off enormous fines like it was nothing, and proclaimed bootlegging's the business for me. But unlike most bootleggers,
Yeah, why wouldn't
Remis
he?
had big brain, and he came up with a pretty clever system. See, there were millions of gallons of liquor produced before Prohibition that were sitting in distillery warehouses, and it could only be sold with government permission to drug companies. So Remis set up his own drug company and bottled the liquor. Then he set up his own transport
smart.
company to transport the liquor. And then he would send his own men out with guns to intercept his own transport vehicles. And this would happen. Hey man, this is a stick-up.
Oh.
Oh no, please don't hurt me. I won't
So he committed fraud doing it.
hesitate to
Smart.
shoot. Please, I have a wife and kids. Hand over all the whiskey, fatty. Hey, Fatty isn't in the script, you jerk.
Oh, that's
After
mean.
stealing all the whiskey from himself, he could then sell it for big bucks. The perfect crime. Unfortunately, Remis was eventually caught by a goody two-shoes Prohibition director in Indiana who wouldn't take Remis's bribes, and the government found Remis guilty of violating the Volstead Act 3,000 times. For 2 years as Remis sat in prison, his wife promised to take care of all of his money. And by take care of his money, she meant have an affair with a Prohibition agent, sell off everything Remis owned, and file for divorce.
Oh. Oh, that's terrible. I don't know what I would do. Oh, fuck no. I'm killing myself
When
in that
Remis finally
scenario.
got out and found his big fancy mansion empty with his wife gone, he reportedly broke down in tears. A few months later, during their divorce trial, he spotted his wife in a car in Cincinnati. Remis hopped in a cab and asked the driver to run her off the road. The driver was like, okay. Then Remis got out of the cab and shot his wife dead. He immediately handed himself into the police.
Yeah.
And his next trial, this time for murder.
Honestly, semi valid crash out.
Became a national sensation. Remis defended himself, claiming insanity, occasionally carrying out skillful questioning, occasionally crying in the corner. But the nation felt bad for him. His wife had screwed him over, and so when after just 19 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned and declared him not guilty, the court erupted into celebration.
Fuck
And
yeah,
just to
my
remind you,
homie.
this guy bluntly admitted to murdering his wife. The American justice system. Mwah. As alcohol poured into the
Except you can't even really call that the American justice system at that point, though. American justice system would see if he were still rich, him just paying them off. Like, no, you cannot call that American justice system. You cannot say that like it's a bad thing. Dude killed his wife after finding out that she took all his money and had an affair and cheated on him. Bad? Yes. But
a lot of it was going to a
you
new
guys
type
know
of
what I
drinking
mean.
establishment that had been booming in popularity. A secret drinking establishment. So secret that from the outside they often look like ordinary shops or homes. So secret that you usually needed a password to get in. So secret that everybody knew about them. Speakeasies. And once
Hell
you were in,
yeah.
the party went all night long. Scantily clad flappers, snake ladies, jazz. It was a roaring time to be alive. Some publications even posted reviews of these illegal clubs, and bribes galore kept the party going. It seemed like half the police officers in federal
Roaring
agencies in
20s.
cities like New York were receiving kickbacks from speakeasy owners. Hey, what the Kevin Costner is going on here? Officer O'Hannity, taking bribes? Why am I not surprised? Prohibition Director Simmons? For shame. Mom? What would Dad say? Ask him yourself. Dad would say, quit being such a wet blanket.
Hey, that's
and let
fucking
Daddy earn his
crazy.
tips. Anytime a speakeasy
That's
was shut down by
insane.
authorities, it seemed like 3 more would just pop up elsewhere. And some neighborhoods were so full of them that one resident began hanging a sign to try to keep partygoers from constantly knocking on her door. It really seemed like the new laws regarding
That'd be
alcohol,
annoying.
in some places, were simply being ignored. And one Prohibition agent who traveled the country liked to see which city was the most defiant by timing how long it took for him to be offered a beer after he arrived. His
Oh, I've heard this story. The cabbie, I think it was the cabbie who offered him one.
New Orleans, where a cab driver offered him a drink after just 35 seconds. Bravo! Many voices in
Fuck
Congress
yeah.
were already speaking out against Prohibition and its failures. To display how ridiculous the whole thing was, one Republican congressman gathered the media to all come and watch him drink a homemade beer. When he asked a passing police officer if he'd like to arrest him, the officer said no. Hey Wayne, is all this what you had in mind? I thought we were gonna make the country better, but it almost seems like it's worse. What do you mean? Alcohol consumption is down. Well, that may be true in your small town world, but it says here drinking in some areas is up, as are arrests for public intoxication, drunk driving, and incidents of liver cirrhosis. The general chaos has turned America into a nation of criminals with no respect for the law, and all these attempts at enforcement are just costing the economy valuable money and eating up judicial time and resources. Release the lines. The social change and corruption that
God,
Wheeler
fuck
and the
this
Anti-Saloon
dude.
League had been so eager
I
to
hate
prevent
this
in
dude
the cities
so
at least,
much.
was surging. See, when something's legal, you can usually regulate and control it. But make that thing illegal, and often anything becomes fair game. Legal drinking age, gone. Mandatory closing hours for clubs and bars,
Gone.
Other unspoken sociocultural rules surrounding alcohol. Gone, gone, gone. In speakeasies, different genders and ethnicities were beginning to mingle in a way they hadn't done before. The Roaring Twenties saw a monumental shift in culture, not least of all because now men and women could flirt in public without being damned for eternity. An outraged Wayne Wheeler did his best to make sure that anyone breaking the law...
God, I fucking hate him.
He had even stricter legislation put in place in New York. But all this did was clog up the justice system with petty drinking violations, and judges began letting everyone off with light fines, so the judges could get back to dealing with things that actually mattered.
Yeah, exactly.
Things like murder. And there was plenty of murder, because bootleggers and moonshiners were one thing, but Prohibition had given another kind of criminal an opportunity
Gangsters.
to make a fortune. Mobsters.
Yeah.
Gangsters. Hey, Fat Tony. Big news. Hey, Fat Joey. What's up? I just got word from Fat Louie here that the government's outlawing alcohol. You know what that means. That means we're gonna be rich. Quick, call Fat Polly and let's go.
Yeah, that's how Capone got so fucking big, was through Prohibition. Wasn't it?
Truck now. All right. Hang on. Let me tell my wife first. Hey, Fat Susan. No pizza for Fat Joey tonight, capiche? Stop calling me Fat Susan.
She gonna kick your
Rival
ass.
gangs began to battle in America's cities, raiding each other's transports, assassinating rivals, and trying to take control of their city's illicit booze trade. Every city had its top dog. Detroit had the Purple Gang. New England had Charles King Solomon. But no city was as infamous for gang violence and murder as Chicago. The city had multiple gang factions,
There it
and
is.
at first, they agreed to stay in their own neighborhoods. But the
Well, yeah, didn't the Thompson get the nickname the Chicago typewriter or something like that because of how prominent it was?
thing about criminals is that they're criminals, and the agreements inevitably broke down. One day, the leader of the Italian Southside gang was walking along the street when this happened. And he was like, you know, I think I'm done with this, and left for New York, leaving his crime empire to his chief enforcer, none other than Al Capone. Having been knifed in the face in his younger years, Capone earned himself the name Scarface. Although interestingly, he hated that nickname and preferred to be called Snorky. Snorky.
That's insane. I didn't know Al Capone got knifed in the face, that his nickname was Scarface. That's
Was
insane.
ruthless, just like any other gang leader in America. But what set him apart from others, the reason he's become synonymous with 1920s gang warfare, is this. Most other gang leaders would try to keep a low profile because, you know, they're killing and murdering and stuff. But Capone lived for the fame and kept an extremely high public profile, frequently speaking with the media about his exploits and presenting himself as a gracious host, providing Chicago with good times. No need to thank me, fellas. I just provide the city with a valuable commodity while doing away with the competition. You mean you murder people? Whoa, who said anything about murder? I just, you know, force my rivals underground. When you do the thing with the hands, it seems like you're talking about murder. Whoa, look at you with the brains. No,
Yeah, homie, you should probably watch your fucking tone, huh?
no, I just help people retire from life. So murder. Whoa!
Whoa!
Smoky Capone was somewhat of an enigma. Brutal in how he dealt with enemies, but in front of the camera, he was all smiles. One day, he'd be ordering hit after hit. The next, he'd be signing autographs in Wrigley Field. One day, he'd be bludgeoning members of his own gang with a baseball bat for conspiring against him. The next, he'd be playing Santa at a nearby parochial school. And no murder could ever be traced back to him. Just like every other criminal, he stuffed the pockets of city officials with cold, hard cash. And any who did try to oppose him sometimes found themselves being thrown down the steps of City Hall in broad daylight. Problem solved. The public couldn't get enough of him.
Yep,
He quickly
except
became a house
he did not pay his fucking taxes, which really fucks him over.
household name as people romanticized the gang life he lived. And this became a source of concern for the people at the very top. President Hoover? Ugh, what is it now, Miles? I'm busy. Well, it's just that there's a lot of crime, sir. Crime? How long's that been happening? Well, since the dawn
while.
of man, sir. What? Would you like me to blame it on the Democrats again? No, Miles, I want you to blame it on squirrels. Yes, the Democrats. Now stop wasting my time. Since having a crime lord controlling public officials and winning the hearts of the people probably wasn't a good thing, Hoover personally ordered that something be done about this Capone fellow. But before he knew it, President Hoover was also dealing with another major problem. You know him. You love him. Woman. The Prohibition era had been going on for nearly a decade, and anyone with a brain could see that it really wasn't going very well. One person with a brain was Pauline Sabin, an extremely influential and rich woman who served on the Republican National Committee, fundraised for Republican presidents, and had a secret wine room in her giant mansion. She initially supported Prohibition, but was now disgusted at the chaos it had created, and she began a new women's movement, this time not for Prohibition, but against it. Being the extremely influential woman she was, her new organization gained nearly 1.5 million members within 2 years. 5 times that
Damn.
of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. She hated
That's
that
fucking
the
insane.
WCTU claimed to speak for all women, and she began calling for the repeal of the 18th Amendment. President Hoover, I helped fund your campaign, and now I want you to end prohibition. Miles, what is it I say when I'm not going to do anything? You'll look into it, sir. Oh yeah, that's right. Pauline? I'll look into it. Sabin gave speeches on the steps of Congress and helped start a growing push among the
Yeah,
American
doesn't
people
happen.
against prohibition. But Hoover, a prohibitionist himself, wasn't budging. Then, on the 14th of February 1929, something happened that shocked the nation. Men, thought to be working for Al Capone, tricked some Irish mobsters into meeting them at a garage in Chicago, thinking they were there to purchase hijacked whiskey. Instead, the mobsters were lined up against the wall by men dressed as police, and they were shot.
Oh, is this the Valentine's Day Massacre?
The Valentine's Day Massacre
It
had people
is!
outraged. It was cruel and almost felt like American mobsters had finally crossed a line. People were sick of the violence, and in part, they blamed Prohibition for helping to create it. The pressure on Hoover to do something was steadily increasing. Fine. Miles, I want you to put a report together to see if this whole thing is working. You mean the thing where mobsters are becoming increasingly powerful and massacring each other in the streets and everyone is disregarding the law and half our public officials are corrupt and taking bribes? That thing? Yeah, I want to know if it's working or not, Miles. Stop wasting my time! Hoover continued to drag his feet on Prohibition, but after the Valentine's Day Massacre, he was still determined to do one thing. He wanted Al Capone in prison. Since Capone had been so careful, the FBI were having a hard time charging him with anything, but eventually, they got him. Capone, we know you're supplying Chicago with alcohol and you've been involved in countless murders. Whoa, look at
God,
you with the
Hoover
crazy
is
talk.
just
I ain't
fucking
done none of
useless,
that
isn't
stuff.
he?
But you're rich, right? You're damn right I am. And so where'd all the money come from, Capone? All right, I'll let you in on a little secret, but you gotta promise not to tell anyone, okay? I don't pay my taxes.
And you're in
Whoa!
prison,
All of his
buddy.
Murdering. The IRS finally got Capone on tax evasion. At his trial, he didn't seem too concerned though, and spent most of his time having a laugh with his lawyers. Hey Capone, I gotta know, why are you so confident you're gonna win here? Well, Your Honor, because I'm an honest man with a big heart who's passionate about working for the good of the people. And also because I threatened the entire jury's families. Luckily, at the last minute, the judge replaced the entire jury pool with a new one that Capone's men hadn't yet got to, and Capone was found guilty. He was sentenced to 11.
I'm surprised that flew. Because, yeah, he did wrong, but it's still surprised that they were able to do that and not call it like... That's a little... That's weird.
10 years in
Okay.
federal prison, the harshest penalty ever given to a tax evader. But even with Capone,
I'm sorry, I
locked
missed
away
that.
in
How long?
prison, the harshest,
Oh.
and Capone was found guilty. He was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison. The harshest
Oh, that's
penalty
not
ever
the
given
worst,
to a
I
tax
guess.
evader. But even with Capone locked away, the violence in Chicago and other cities continued.
Yeah,
And
it's
in
going
response,
to.
The movement against Prohibition continued to grow. And the final nail in Prohibition's coffin came in 1929. After a decade of booming economic growth under 3 Republican presidents,
there it
the
is.
stock market plummeted,
Crashes.
and America was
Yep.
thrown into the grips of the Great Depression. It was an awful time. 1 out of every 5 workers, 15 million people, would lose their jobs. Half the nation's banks failed. Temporary shantytowns were built for the broken homeless in public parks. Suddenly, very few people had time to care about Prohibition.
Honestly, the one photo I remember learning about in school about when we got to the Great Depression, the one photo that stuck with me was a woman who was offering to sell her kids because she could not afford to keep them fed. So she was like, if you guys had, it was, I forget even how much it was, but it was like, hey, as long as they go to a good home, it's such and such amount of money. Like, it was actually a really just sad photo.
Expensive enforcement of an unenforceable law didn't seem like that big of a priority when people were having their homes repossessed and losing their life savings. And many began to argue that repealing Prohibition would create vital jobs and tax revenue for the government.
Yeah, it
Yet
probably
President
would.
Hoover doubled down. Here's that report.
I hate him.
Gimme. Prohibition is great. Fantastic news. Sir, it says here Prohibition is great at undermining the rule of law in America. Miles, it says the word great. That means good. Now stop wasting my time! The public, increasingly shocked at the violence they saw in the streets, the corruption
He's
they
a
saw in the
fucking
government, the general
moron.
disregard for the law, and now an economic calamity, had enough. For his re-election, Hoover faced a Democratic candidate who promised to finally do something about Prohibition, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Crowds cheered as FDR made his campaign speeches promising to modify the Volstead Act, and Pauline Sabin, a lifelong Republican, along with her 1.5 million supporters, endorsed Roosevelt. And on Election Day, it was a landslide. Before FDR had even taken office, Republicans in Congress began the process of passing the 21st Amendment to repeal Prohibition. One of FDR's first acts as president was to pass the Beer Permit Act, which made beer legal while the new amendment was being ratified. In 1933, with the passage of the 21st Amendment, Prohibition was finally over, and the people celebrated like they'd just won a world war. Bars and taverns were packed. The WCTU were inconsolable. Wayne Wheeler was dead, and the celebration—
Oh, wait, what? Hold on. Lips that touch liquor shall not touch ours.
The WCTU were inconsolable. Wayne Wheeler was
wrong. That's the one group that wanted Prohibition.
Dead. And the celebration, particularly in America's cities, was intense. Heading into the
It would
mid-1930s,
be. It doesn't surprise
the effects
me.
of Prohibition were clear to see. From now on, culture around drinking had changed, with men and women drinking together, not in saloons, but in bars and taverns. The crime syndicates that had been given so much power through Prohibition remained powerful as they moved on to other things. Some states opted to remain dry, with Oklahoma only repealing its prohibition laws in 1959. To this day, there are still counties in America with some form of prohibition. So what did we learn today, kids?
I've lived in a few.
What's the big lesson here? What's the moral of this story that we can all take away and apply to our day-to-day lives? Maybe that you shouldn't force your own morals on others who don't share them? Maybe that if you tell Americans not to do something, that's the one thing they'll definitely do. Or maybe
that
there
as
isn't
well.
a lesson. Maybe we're all just a bunch of dumb, stinky idiots, and we're all doomed. The end.
Little bit of that last one. Probably a mix of all of them, honestly. Oh, that was Prohibition Oversimplified. Weirdly enough, I didn't know quite a bit about that. That was interesting as hell. Make sure you guys check out the original. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.